Guys of a Certain Age is brought to you by no one. Absolutely no one. Except these dudes walking down memory lane. Now let's head to the studio to see what they misremember next.
It's a podcast where one of us is going to learn how to change a diaper again. It's Guys of a Certain Age. Robbie Koblitz in studio along, not side, but close, nearby.
Art Shirley?
Yeah.
Same state, anyway?
Yeah. Same state, almost. Well, no, not same county because you're in Clay County. So
Right.
Jay is on assignment, on grandbaby assignment. Congratulations to Jay, Melissa, and all the assorted parties involved in the
Baba Reed.
Baba Reed. Wasn't that a song by The Who?
Baba O'Reedy.
That's it. Yeah. Teenage Wasteland. So, Jay and Melissa welcomed a new grandbaby girl, right? Am I saying that right? Close enough.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, anyway, we're going to do a quick episode. It's kind of nuts. We're all over the place. I've been in Miami. I've been in Seattle. I've got to go to Massachusetts, it appears. Who knows? But we're going to do some Geeks of the Week. Yeah, I'll tell you. So that could be kind of a cool Geek of the Week. A buddy of mine, Brian Stevens, who's a producer, drummer over in Atlanta, is going to be producing a new album for the Platters.
Oh, yeah. I remember you mentioned that a while back. Yeah.
So you remember.
Very cool.
Yeah. I'm talking with their manager about maybe doing a documentary about this new album with the Platters. That's the first in like years. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. But anyway, let's do some geeks. What do you have, Mr. Shirley?
That's going to be very cool. Okay. Well, first of all, a loss. George Wendt, who played Norm on Cheers, passed away. It used to be one of my favorite shows. He was, I think, 76 years old, but he was one of the favorites from that show. He's also Ted Lasso. Gosh, I'm just drew a blank on the actor that plays Ted Lasso.
Jason Sudeikis.
Jason Sudeikis. Yeah, I want to say Jared Sudeikis. I knew that one right. But anyway, that's his uncle. So anyway, sorry to see him go. The geek that I've got, though, is latest news from Adobe, who continues to find ways to anger their clientele. They are now, after swearing up and down that never would go to a tier system, that yes, the subscription model may not be something you like, but you know that you'll always have everything that Adobe offers, for the low price of $800 or $900 a year now, whatever it is, the subscription model. Now they're going to a tiered service now, a professional model that will include all of the AI stuff that you might possibly want, a lot of generative credits in that, and also still include all the mobile, the iOS apps, the versions of the thing. You can get those as part of your package now, and I think it's going up to like $80 a month or something.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
What it is. And then they're offering a lower tier that, from what I can see, will include all the pieces of software, but doesn't have the generative material, or at least don't have the credits in there that the others have.
Yeah.
And then you don't get the mobile apps for free or as part of the package. I have tried using some of the mobile apps. I'm not a huge fan. To me, there are better products for iPad use, Procreate being one of them.
And Canva.
So I've got I've got alternatives for those things. So I don't see me going to the higher tiered version. Even the lower tier version, I think, is still a little bit of a price bump based on what we were paying before, maybe $5 a month or something. But it's one of those things where, I think people are going to start to question. I mean, I think they're going to run into the same thing that Quark ran into. They thought, they could, nobody was ever going to leave them because in so many ways they are the de facto. And we've had this conversation before, but we're seeing, other things rise, in its place. And again, good enough sometimes beats, perfect. You mentioned Canva. I think that's going to be probably, for most people, in terms of layout, give them what they need. Now, is it a professional tool, that can do everything that you might need to do? No. Is it a tool that can do most of what you need? And it seems to be constantly improving? Yes. And I think that they've really got to look out for, what may come from that. there's alternatives. We've mentioned DaVinci Resolve. There's alternatives for the video or the other packages that you may want Adobe Creative Cloud for. But I don't know. As a professional that that uses these products, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think the analogy to Quark is probably correct. They're at a point where they're the 9,000-pound gorilla in the room, and there's going to be a void there that somebody's going to fill, and I think Canva is part of that. CapCut, which is TikTok's
we talked about that recently.
editor is not bad. That's the most popular editor in the world, actually. I just don't know. The generative stuff is okay. I'll use some of the generative remove tools in Photoshop. I don't see myself using any of the generative extend shot 2-second tools, and that stuff's pretty expensive at the end of the day, I mean, it's pretty pricey when it comes to their credit model. And so I don't know. The credit model for the listeners is you don't have unlimited use of these generative tools that that are maybe creating things from whole cloth, but also maybe doing things like filling in backgrounds, or as Robbie mentioned, you can take a clip in Premiere Pro, and if you didn't shoot enough to cover it, you can have the AI generate a few more seconds of the clip to extend over. Is that what I'm? Yeah. Am I right? Yeah. Understand? Correct.
But again, you don't get it, so you get so many credits towards that, and then depending on the process that you're using, it may use up amount of credits. One of those things where they'll probably feel like they're giving you plenty at first, and then they'll cut back, and there's already a method in place to charge you more for those things. So they'll get you on that as well. But yeah, it's just, and again, mentioning Canva, Affinity, which makes 3 really good products that are analogs to Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. The Photoshop and Illustrator products can swap files back and forth. InDesign can't, because the InDesign file format is proprietary, but you could still get a tool from Marksware and open up a file and translate it over to it, if not directly to Affinity, going through PDFs and do it. So, and those products are good. Those products are really good, and are much more professional than if you wanted to move beyond Canva, you could do that. Also, they work back and forth within Canva, so that works well. So, like I said, I think I'm really curious to see what's going to happen.
Yeah,
over the next couple of years. Yeah. We're old school, long time Adobe users, so we're less likely to change. Although we're not, completely unable to change. But students that are coming out of school right now and are used to using, tools like Canva, aren't going to have the loyalty or the buy-in to Adobe that we have.
Well, it's also the type of thing where, folks are just now getting into the creative profession. They're going to learn how to use other tools, and it's going to be a lot like Quark, because there was that generation with Quark, which was the design program forever.
Right.
Once that generation started to retire and get out of that space, Quark didn't have anything new on the back end that was accessible. And that's where Illustrator and what's InDesign, came in and took that space. So I don't know. It's interesting. Right. It's an interesting time.
Yeah. And you said Quark, we all call it Quark, and it was Quark Express was the product.
Yeah.
But they didn't have any other products that I remember. I mean, I know they had a couple of things. They probably tried to get into web development spaces at one point, but it was Quark. Now, I do get, the reason I bring it up is because I have so many people now that use Acrobat that call it Adobe. Well, I need to get Adobe. And I'm like, Adobe what? Adobe has a whole stable of products, but what's funny to me is that Acrobat is the one that so many people use that they call it, that. And we should say Adobe's got its own version of Canva called Adobe Express, but it's very similar to Canva, but it doesn't have the market share, and probably is too late into the game for it.
So did you realize that Quark Express is still out there? It's still available?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll get stuff every once in a while. We were updating at work. We were still updating the tool up until a couple of years ago, because we had so many files that were still in Quark. And then we got a Marksware product that allows us to convert those products into InDesign products. And it works fairly well. It's not great, but it works fairly well. But yeah, we still, I mean, up until probably 2 years ago, we were still updating. And there's some things that Quark does that's great, but I'm so out of it now, I can't use it anymore. It's a completely different animal.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. So, yeah, thanks Adobe for that. I had a friend of mine at NAB said, if you want to make a lot of money, watch for when Adobe announces the new tiered pricing and short their stock. And just, just looking at their stock has only fallen about 1% over the past 3 days. So, but
this takes place June 17th, I would imagine. So probably, this time next week, as it becomes more aware, comes more in the eye of the general public, or not the general public. The general public doesn't care, but the professional users, as they start to see it,
yeah. Oh man, well, probably should really look at going completely to DaVinci Resolve. But for me, it's the round tripping to Photoshop and After Effects.
Yeah.
So
like I said, there's nothing. I mean, every product has its flaws, but overall, the Adobe Creative Suite, those products are great products. They really are good products. I mean, sometimes you get a little bloatware. I think they're guilty of that, but that round tripping thing and the interconnectivity between all the products is just great. But yeah, it's gonna be hard to kind of continue to pony up.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So, my geek's a little more geeky than a little bit more nerdy, I guess, than geeky. Disney announced in the last day or so that Marvel's going to delay Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars.
I saw that.
Yeah, by 6 months. So we were expecting Doomsday almost exactly a year from today. Now it's going to be pushed to Christmas of 26, and then Secret Wars will be pushed to Christmas of 27.
Wow.
So you've got Fantastic Four First Steps coming out in July. Then you've got the Spider-Man movie, which is supposed to be next summer. Then you get to Doomsday. So there's going to be a solid year with no Marvel movies.
Wow.
So that's going to be kind of interesting to see. Apparently this is a bigger movie than the Russo brothers thought. They need more time. I don't think principal photography is wrapped on Doomsday yet. I think they're in the middle of it right now. So, I don't know, but that's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. So I would prefer that they take more time and they polish it correctly and go that route than hurry it. So, anyway, kind of like they did with Daredevil Doomsday, which we talked about. Was that last week's show? I can't remember. I don't know. I
can't remember either.
I don't know where I am or who I am or what I'm doing. So
I know. Everybody's,
We're going to make this a short show, but I'm going to ask you real quick, Art. All right, we finished up Andor, and you'd mentioned about the retconning of how Andor has changed all that. We'll do an Andor review soon when we get Jay here. But, I mean, Tony Gilroy said, hey, I knew I was going to change some things because if you go to the comic book, there was a comic book one-shot before Rogue One that explored Cassian's story with K2SO, which sounds like a shortwave radio station.
Yeah.
And Gilroy said, no, that's stupid. I'm not doing that. He did his own version of the meeting.
Yeah.
What's your take on, coming back and retconning something severely like that?
Some of it, it kind of depends on where the source material comes from and, how officially canonized it was. But, that just kind of opens the door to a lot of things. I mean, some things I don't mind. I mean, I certainly wouldn't mind if they, took the entire sequel trilogy and said it was all a bad dream and have, Victoria Principal walk in and find Luke in the shower and say, hey, look, this has been a bad dream. but that could be a completely different movie. But
or Han wakes up next to Leia in bed. I had this horrible dream about our kids.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, but now that's a bold move, and I think that in terms of storytelling, now I'm sure the comic books are probably the least truly canon of anything. I mean, when the adaptations ran out of the movies, we ended up having a bunny Jedi for a while in the Star Wars comics, which some people want to be canon, but so I don't know. But I like Gilroy's choices, and so I guess the truth of the matter is, canon is just as locked in as who anybody wants to make it. I mean, I still consider a lot of the stuff that happened in what is now the Legends series to be much more interesting and much more what I would like to assume happened, like I said, than what happened ultimately happened in the sequels movies. To me, those books, so it's whatever you kind of choose to believe, Yeah, it's all works of fiction. So I think whatever you want to do, it can be. I mean, we see people things being retconned and changed or whatever. But yeah, the thing I was going to talk about, and I don't know if we want to talk about it on the other side of the break or how we're going to do it, but is just the reactions to people now about a movie that's 50 years old. Have you seen these things? You know what I'm talking about?
No. Fill me in. We'll finish out this segment and call it a show. But tell me what you saw.
Okay, so now people are going like, I can't believe they only gave medals to Luke and Han. Now, for years, the people were mad because Chewie didn't get a medal, but now they're saying there's all these folks that were on Yavin that should have gotten medals. I mean, granted, or should have been recognized. The whole Rogue One crew should have been recognized posthumously. And then other people going, well, maybe we're only seeing that segment, that included Luke and Han, since those are the only people. And you want to sit back and go, you realize this movie happened 50 years ago. It was the only one. They thought it was a one shot. Nobody thought it was going to turn into a sequel, let alone this dynasty of content that we've gotten since then. So if you try to do this has always been the danger of prequels. If you try to do something, you're gonna change something, and people just kind of have to live with it. There's other people that said, "Oh, I think Cassian would have hated Luke because he was everything that he didn't like." He said he was like, I can't remember the character's name, but you remember the guy, and I know this is spoiler for Andor, we'll talk about it. But when they were stealing the supplies and the one guy got folks killed as they were making that heist thing, he said that was Luke. And I'm like, people are saying, building this whole thing, well, maybe it's all propaganda. Maybe Mon Mothma was actually behind this idea of having this, innocent farm boy coming in and being the face of the rebellion. I'm thinking, you don't have to make this fit. You can just enjoy it. You can enjoy both shows. Oh, have you not seen this stuff?
No, I've been kind of out of.
Yeah, well, you've been out. Yeah, it's happened probably in the last week or so. Obviously since the finale aired, and then and somebody. But it's just weird. Somebody else said something about when Cassian died or whatever, and then, hey, spoiler alert, I haven't seen all of Andor yet. And then they go, oh, wait a minute, that's Rogue One. That's 10 years ago.
Well, we'll do a Rogue One analysis review when we get Jay back in, but it may be my favorite Star Wars since the original movie in 1977.
Yeah. I definitely like the direction that went. And other people are saying, this is one last thing about this. People are saying this is the way Star Wars should be. No Jedi, no lightsabers, no mystic stuff. I'm saying, well, wait a minute. Now, Star Wars started out with that stuff, so that defines Star Wars. I don't mind it getting away from that for Andor and Rogue One. I think that's great, but don't say that's not Star Wars when you put lightsabers and Jedi wizards in there. That's kind of what made the thing work. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox.
It is. It was space fantasy, and now it's become this whole thing. So, if anybody,
I agree with you. I think that Andor worked so well because it kind of went away from that.
Yeah.
So that's what made it. We're in Rogue One too.
If anybody should have gotten a medal, it should have been Luthen.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and people mentioned him too, Luther,
Man.
and Kalia. What's going on with those folks?
So
people still want to see her reappear.
Well, I'm rewatching the first season of Andor. I'm gonna watch Andor season 1, 2, Rogue One, and then probably into Star Wars just to see how it coalesces.
Mm-hmm.
And I've forgotten how good first season of Andor was. I mean,
yeah,
it's excellent storytelling, regardless of the universe. So
it really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, lots of fun. All right, shorter show this week because we're going in 18 different directions. Just be happy you heard our voices. So, all right, guys, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time around.